Hey, what's up, my friends? Paul here, and we are back.
Yes,
I don't want to say, we always say we're back, but we're back. And of
Yeah.
course, I'm with my colleague Scott here, and this is WESPN, and there is a lot to cover. A little hiatus here on our end because we were in the middle of a massive office renovation. We have officially moved offices and have been in here for a few weeks now, and it feels pretty good.
double, triple the size. Love the layouts, love the finishes. Stop by.
Yeah, stop by. I mean, it's a showpiece, and it's a great place for professional realtors to hang their hat, like ourselves, and we're enjoying it so much. And a space that's really been good to us so far. We're just getting going here, but it's been pretty awesome. So if you notice the new set, this is the new office, and we're blessed and happy to be here.
Would you say, Paul, we might have room for some additional agents?
We
Potentially?
we sure would if it's the right fit, and if you're newly licensed or hold a license and want to have a conversation, come on through, have a coffee, and we'd love to see what we can.
Now,
offer for
what's
you
your
guys.
analogy for AW for you in the NHL?
Yeah,
How do you look at our team here?
I look at our team as, again, this is a team of real estate professionals where everybody is full-time and practices the craft of real estate, and only that for their career. We're looking for people who are absolute professionals, and we consider ourselves the NHL of real estate teams, and if you've got what it takes, we definitely want you here, 100%.
Yeah, love the analogy.
Yeah, it's not the there's OHLs out there as well, where you can grab awesome training and all of that. But we're a little bit more high level here and want to develop awesome agents. The whole why of this place is to provide the marketplace with amazing real estate agents, and so far so good because I'm surrounded by them every single day.
Love it, love it. Now, I got to admit, I'm not the biggest Tigers fan. In fact, I accused a few people of being wagon hoppers this week because I hadn't seen them talk about the Tigers all year, and all of a sudden that they got the game on in the office and all this. So I got to admit, I'm not a big Tiger fan, but I am hopping on the wagon. I got the jersey today. I didn't really know the story.
Yeah, you know what I say every time these games are on right now. I keep saying to Trish and the kids, I'm like, I can't believe this is like I was just minding my business this year, watching baseball, and then all of a sudden we become relevant, and we're in the ALDS right now, 1-1 play at home tonight. We're recording this on Wednesday, this afternoon. And just literally, I felt so unprepared for this run because it just kind of came out of nowhere. And
Well, the odds were astronomically low, weren't they?
I believe August 11th, it was 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. And then
Incredible.
they just became the hottest team in baseball. I believe it's once Baez exited the team with injury. They just all started to click. They're young. They're hungry. They're gritty. They're Detroit. And right now, Detroit sports, when you stay faithful to your teams, eventually good things will happen. So we got the Lions, we got the Tigers, we got the Lions, of course, on another good run this year. Pistons absolutely blow, and the Wings. Although I'm a Habs fan, the Wings should be back in playoff contention this year. So it's a good time to be a Detroit sports fan. That's for sure.
Heck yeah. And we got a ton of news to cover. There are so many announcements this month on the housing market. And it kind of goes back to what I always say, that the Canadian government is going to step in every opportunity that they can to support the housing market. It is critical to our economy. It's critical to the whole structure and fabric of our society. They can't let the housing market fail. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about there, but I think we were going to lead off here with just a Windsor local market update. What's happening here? I would say it's been a little bit choppy. It's up, it's down, it's left, it's right, it's stable, and then we are heading into the winter and fall. But give us the lowdown here.
Yeah, right now I feel like it's following the ebbs and flows of a normal market. August and September are typically softer months. September, not a bad month overall in the real estate market. October, we typically see an uptick in units sold and the amount of action out there. And I think that's attributes to summer. People are busy. And then September, of course, I know in my household, September was an absolute debacle. Like kids going back to school, hockey's starting, but then you got tryouts for baseball, tryouts for soccer, this, that, like it was just absolute mayhem.
Not much time to shop for houses,
not much
right?
time. So a lot of families are just busy getting into the new routine, just getting used to that. Kids are back in school now. October, I feel like buyers get back out there, and because they figured out their own personal schedule. And the real estate market's always interesting in that facet because it ebbs and flows on people's lifestyles, right? Again, summer, people are busy. And October, recording this on October 9th, we've already seen like some pretty good numbers out there and some pretty good action. So it's following the typical market.
Yeah, we've been predicting this the whole year, by the way, and it's pretty simple. And I like what you said there. It's following people's living patterns as well. January, February, March, April, it's cold. There's nothing to do. People are trapped in their houses. They're focused on real estate. And that starts to spread out into the summertime. People are traveling and doing other things with their kids, not as focused. And then we head into the fall and winter, where typically prices level off and kind of have historically bottomed out between November and December. Do you have any theories on why that might be? Obviously, you got a bunch of holidays in there and cold weather. And
that's it. I mean, we're going to see our inventory start to come down. And people just historically don't list in those months, although people have to sell at certain times, right? And that's what happens in those months. December, I mean, there was a time when during COVID and all that where we would just fly through that and be just as busy. But November and December, right now this year, we're going to see the market do its holiday lull. And again, like we always say, that spring market starts mid-January. We've got an interest rate announcement coming up at the end of the month. It's going to be an interesting one. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they don't cut rates here, I'd be incredibly shocked. The big debate, really, in my opinion, is it going to be a quarter point or a half point? And I think there is a chance that it's a half point. I would put my money on a quarter point, but the economy is really slowing down, and the housing market's really slowing down, and they do have to get it going again. But the key here is like our interest rates are too high. If inflation's running at somewhere around 2% and our interest rates are 4.75%, you can see a pretty big disparity there. So they have to get it to a neutral rate. Right now, it's prohibitive. It's prohibiting the economy. It's prohibiting economic growth. Money's too expensive for the economy. So they do have to get it to a neutral rate. It's more a matter of the pace that they do it. But they will get there eventually, and probably by the end of 2025. And we'll be watching every step of the way. But the next one, almost guaranteed a rate cut. And we know what the impact of rate cuts has on real estate, like any other asset. Cheaper money, more expensive assets, especially true with real estate.
Yeah, I think if you're in the market to buy right now, I think you push the gas on that a little bit. I think
you want to be buying now, because here's the thing: they have lowered rates 3 times in a row, but it hasn't really impacted affordability yet. They haven't come down enough to overcome the stress test, right? Because the stress test is, what is it, 5.25% or +2 or whatever. I got to pull it up, but Anthony, add it in there if you can. But it's not the rates aren't low enough to trump the stress test. So if you're getting a mortgage approval right now, you're still getting approved at 7% despite the rate cuts.
Yeah. So market update. We're going to start with September stats. Last year was, last Q4 and Q1 were absolutely brutal. Last summer, and I tell people on my listing appointments all the time that if I was here last year having the same appointment, it'd be a different strategy. It'd be a different conversation. So in September we had, and this is just residential, 1,187 listings compared to last year, 961. So listings are up this year. We've had 422 units sell in September as opposed to last year, 389. Average sale price $579 in September this year, $535 last September, and a medium sale price of $540 this September compared to $500 last year. Now, year to date, though, listings that have hit the market year to date, 9,235 at the end of September, compared to last year, 8,266. So listings are up 11.72%. Sales, so in our market, we've had 3,937 sales. That's a lot of sales.
It's a lot of sales. We've had a lot more inventory, though, to balance it out, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Compared to last year, 3,956. So units are down. So listings are up 11% and units are down 0.5%. And the average sale price September this year, 576 compared to 563 last year, and 535 in the whole market as a median sale price compared to 518. So we're up on sale price this September about 2.22%. Again, that's just month to month this September compared to last September of 2023. But I think if we break this all down, the listings are up 11%. That's a lot. That's a lot of inventory in the market, and the sales have remained the same. Although again, this year just felt a lot busier and a lot more production than last year. But the numbers tell the truth right there.
Yeah, so a lot more listings, but prices have remained stable. And there's a lot of canceled listings too, right? You're seeing, like, I've had to cancel some listings 4 or 5 times and relist them in an attempt to get them sold. So that could be part of the equation as well. But the key is prices are up 2.2%. That's a pretty stable kind of rate of inflation price increase over a year, which is kind of where we probably want to be as a market.
Yeah.
Slowly, steadily rising. Again, the Canadian real estate market is so important to the economy that you can't have a declining market for long without really destabilizing things. So a slow, steady rise, that's what the government's after. That's what we got this year. That's why they're not rushing out to cut rates at a increased pace. But what they are going to start doing is incentivizing more and more development. That's what all these announcements that they've had over the past little bit here, they kind of make it seem like they're really good for the consumer, which, they are in the long run. But what they're actually doing is incentivizing and increasing development.
Okay.
So, yeah, if we had to sum it up, a stable market this year, hovering probably within a $20,000 average price throughout the year, plus or minus 20,000, given different seasonality. And that's what we're looking for. So
it's pretty crazy. One more stat here. So the total sales volume year to date at end of September, $2,649,000,000, and last year $2,583,000,000. So 2.57%. Like, I mean, it is a very, very predictable market right now, and it will ebb and flow how we've seen it in the past. This is a normal real estate market.
Yeah.
It's healthy. It's not an unhealthy market. It feels like a very, very normal market. And having said that, then we should see quite a bit of action here mid-January to start the spring market for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. And when's the last time we had a normal market, right? Probably 5 years, 6 years, right? It was going up way too quick, and then it was coming down way too quick, and now we're balanced. And, hopefully nobody's freaking out about this market.
Yeah,
it should take a little bit of time to sell your house. You should have the opportunity to shop around before rushing to buy something. So, it's a nice balanced market.
As a real estate professional, it's a market that's very, very enjoyable.
Agreed. Less stressful.
There's time to prep listings. There's depending on the price range, there's opportunities to write offers conditional on a house to sell, which as a realtor is the dream scenario, right? Okay, sure, I will go and buy this house with our buyers, and we'll put a condition of house to sell. We will buy this for X. If we can sell this for Y, great. We've accomplished here. Let's remove, and off we go. It takes the guessing game out of it.
A lot of that right now.
There's still properties that get 15 offers, 10 offers, 5 offers, 2 offers, 3 offers. That still happens daily in our market. But there is opportunities out there for house to sell conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. A nice balanced market. And so let's get to some of these announcements here. So we've got a slew of them, and I want people to look past the forest, see the trees. Because on the surface, once again, they're kind of touting these as pro-consumer, but I actually think that in a lot of ways they're pro-investor and pro-developer. So one of the big ones here is that they announced extending amortizations from 25 to 30 years for insured mortgages. That's less than 20% down for any first-time home buyer or anybody buying new construction. So once again, when you look at the forest through the trees, you see that, this is actually really good for developers, because now the buyer can get approved for more money so they can pay more for the condo, right? And the reason that insured mortgages are so important right now is because prices are so high. If you're a first-time home buyer, you know how long it takes to save 20% right now?
Yeah.
And the average sale price in Windsor's around $575,000. That's $125,000 approximately for a down payment, right? To not get an insured mortgage. So previously, without an insured mortgage, you could only amortize over 25 years. Now, I did some math. On the average sale price in Windsor, if you extend your amortization from 25 to 30 years, it adds about $40,000 to $50,000 in pre-approval. Because your payments are spread out over 5 years, you can get approved for about $50,000 more. So if you're a condo developer, well, previously people are only getting approved for 400. Well, now they're 450. 450, now you're 500. So you can see how this benefits new construction and first-time home buyers, improving affordability.
And I'm actually seeing some developments start to be advertised out there and hitting shovel to ground. So they're probably prepping for something that's going to be in 2025. And again, we said a few years ago, survive till 25, and 25 is right around the corner. And I have a feeling it's going to be an extremely busy real estate market with the average sale price rising quite a bit.
Yeah, we still are short supply. We need to get building out there, and the government's finally catching on that you actually have to work with developers, not work against them if you want to get stuff built. So that's why these announcements are coming to spur on development. Now, of course, there is a negative side to extending your amortization by an additional 5 years. Spreading out those payments over the course of a 25-year term, you can expect to pay $100,000 to $150,000 more of interest, right? So it does lock you in, but for most buyers, they don't really think about that.
Yeah,
They're more interested in getting into a home rather than renting.
it's a short-term gain for long-term pain, and these are. I don't even think like interest is explained correctly to purchasers when they go into the bank with their mortgage broker, because I mean, if you break down how much interest you're paying on a mortgage, I mean, it's unbelievable. You're essentially paying for the house twice at the end of the day.
100%. Yeah. Now you're also getting a $400,000 loan at some of the cheapest money you can find anywhere in the world. So there are different ways to look at it. The consumer doesn't typically think like an investor. Yeah. As an investor, if you're going to give me $500,000 at 4%, for 30 years, lock me in all day, because we know that debt becomes cheaper over time, right? Because of inflation, the debt that you own loses value, just like the regular monetary instruments. So give me all the debt that you can, and I'll pay the interest happily, or my tenant will. So a lot of different perspectives there. I hope it doesn't scare people away, because that's the cheapest money you can get in the world. And I would still be rather owning a home than renting, because you're not getting any return on renting, obviously.
And
right?
it's a good point. It's one of the only investments in the world where you can give us 20%. If you want to pay, give me $100,000 and I'll give you this thing that's worth $500 and it's yours. Like, I mean, it's a great
way. You're controlling a $500,000 asset for potentially only 5% of the cost of it. And we know that assets typically increase in value over time. It's actually a great investment. Yeah. So a couple other announcements. They are now all, again, this is really...
I stand corrected.
In what regard?
Well, they're not being explained correctly, but it's such a great mortgages are
for sure. So they're now allowing refinancing of insured mortgages for secondary suites to allow homeowners to access the equity in their homes to finance the construction of secondary suites.
So break that down in a real world situation.
Yeah, so let's say you own a home on a nice big lot, plenty of room to add either a basement apartment or a rear detached ADU, or potentially both. You can add up to 4 units. You buy your house for $500,000, it's worth $150,000. Now they'll let you access up to 90% of the value of your home. Plus, so
sorry, you bought it for $500,000.
Now it's worth 1.5.
1.5.
For instance.
Okay, yeah.
So now you have, let's say, what's that? $1 million in equity there. They'll allow you to access 90% of that to take that money and build additional units. And they'll keep the insured portion. Typically, you'd have to have 20% in a personal residence or any property, but they're going to allow you to access an additional 10% for the construction of units, additional dwelling units, up to 4. So the average person isn't going to be doing this. Okay, right. Investor-minded people will be doing this. They'll be taking advantage of this. And they're also allowing extended amortizations here up to 30 years as well for these insured mortgages. So once again, the investor wins. Once again, they realize that the only people that are going to do this are investor-minded people. The average person isn't interested, but it will add units to projects that previously wouldn't pencil. A couple things too here. You're supposed to, you or a family member is supposed to be living in one of the units if you're going to buy something new and try to execute this strategy. Who's going to follow up on that? Probably nobody. Nobody's going to come knock on your door and say, "Hey, Joe, are you living here?" Yeah, it's never happened before. It probably will never happen. And they will also add the value.
Joe would say, "Yeah, I'm here. You're talking to me." Yeah.
That's true.
So we're good. Okay.
They're also adding in on the cost of the additional dwelling units and the value of them. So if you spend $150,000 for a rear ADU, that's around what they cost, $150 to $200. They're going to take that, add it on to the refinance value of your home,
nice.
so you can pull out the value of that ADU. So there might be situations where you can build an ADU for $150. They might say, well, this thing's actually worth $190 or $200. So you might be actually able to pull out more money of the additional value that you added than you've put into it.
Now, I know right now banks are looking at ADUs almost essentially as a like a garage. Is that changing on the bank's end now too?
Yes, they're starting to incorporate the cost. They're going to use three approaches here. The replacement cost approach. Hey, how much would it cost to build this ADU? And then they're going to look at the rent approach. And then typically they would look at comparable approach, but there aren't really comparables right now. That'll probably change over time. But there are ways to value them. I have clients building triplexes right now where it's really a single family with two ADUs, and it's just a drawing, but they took the location, they took the average sale price, and they came up with a market value that I thought was very good. I was skeptical that the banks were going to give the proper loan amounts to the builder, but it came in very strong.
And there are people who are executing on this style of building. I mean, if you go down Meldrum by the fire hall there, there's a full street, both sides of the street. It looks like a raised ranch, but it's actually a unit on the upper, a unit on the lower, and they're really nice. And
they're renting quite strong.
They are. I put a couple clients in those, and those have an ADU in the back.
Yep.
So
and those
that's
ADUs,
a full street. Like,
yeah,
it's a
whole
great
street
project.
Look, people are doing this. This is when you have a government incentivizing something. In Canada, it's very rare. They very rarely incentivize anybody outside of the oligarchies, like the banks and telecoms, whatever. They rarely incentivize small developers and business people. This is one of those rare opportunities that this window might close anytime. You want to jump on it and take advantage of it. It's not as complex as people think. We've got a whole team here that are doing this, and we'd be happy to help out anybody else looking to do so as well. But really, I've looked at all other investment opportunities right now, whether large multifamily, small multifamily, like anything resale. None of it's interesting. None of it pencils. Rents are too low. Buildings are too old. The prices are too high. You got too many maintenance costs. It's not interesting. And then I plug some numbers in on these new builds with these new financing options, and it's like the only really game in town, in my opinion. So we do have a team here that can help people looking to do this, and happy to sit down with anybody. A couple other things to note here as well. The insurance amount for these new ADUs up to $2 million of value, right? So your home's worth 1.5 now. You've added these additional dwelling units. Now your home's worth $2 million. They'll insure it at 90% loan to value with a 30-year amortization. This is crazy, people, for up to 30 years. So again, extending amortizations an additional 5 years. That's your extra cash flow. So a couple other things here as well. Once again, guys, they're all the forest through the trees here, incentivizing development, incentivizing construction of mostly rental units. Okay, keep that in mind. Taxation of vacant land is now on the table for the federal government as well. They don't want people sitting on land. They want people developing it. They want people building on it. And a lot of people are like, hey, I'm not going to build on this land until the numbers make sense. If you own a bunch of land, why would you build if you can't sell profitably? I think it's a stupid idea. It's only in talks right now, but it was part of the recent announcement. They're going to discuss it. Hopefully it doesn't go through because I don't think it makes any sense. And then there's they are also releasing some public service, federally owned lands for development as well. Very interesting to see how that plays out if they actually do it, number one, and if they do, what gets built on those lands, right? They say homes.
What's an example of those lands?
Yeah, like crown-owned lands. They, I see when I'm on Geo Warehouse, I see the town of LaSalle. This might be federally, but I'm sure the federal government owns parklands and different locations all across the country, and they're talking about releasing these for development. who do they go to? What gets built? Are they going to be single family homes? No, they're probably going to be condos, right? Big giant units. So they're talking about that. And then lastly, this one's not really on the same note, but it is very important. When we have a maximum term of 5 years for mortgages in Canada. Obviously, it's 30 years in the U.S. I wish we had that. But every 5 years, we have to renew our mortgages in Canada. And typically, you'd be stuck with the bank that you got the mortgage from originally, because if you go to a different bank, they re-qualify you and re-stress test you. So now if you change jobs, if you took a income hit, if you use your line of credit or bought a new car, all of a sudden you go to a different bank, you won't qualify for the mortgage. So you're basically stuck at the bank that you're with because they wouldn't requalify you. Now they've changed it so that if you have a mortgage and your 5-year term's up, you go to a different bank, they won't requalify you again. It was ruled anti-competitive, which I agree. They're basically locking you into a bank when you might be able to get a better rate somewhere else, but you can't move because you can't get requalified.
Yeah, this is going to have the banks be competitive with each other, and on those 5 years, everybody's going to be shopping around. Everybody's going to be fighting for that business. That's a lot of business that's going to be floating around to
100%. And what happens when there's competition? Prices come down, Absolutely. Rates come down. They might offer you a little bit lower mortgage rates. This should provide a little bit of mortgage relief as well, because the banks do compete with each other. They are businesses. Mm-hmm. They will offer special deals to get you to come from TD to CIBC or vice versa. A lot of favorable activities here.
You think this is election year stuff?
That's a very good point. Yeah. That's a very good point. And I've been debating with people for a while here that if you think the housing market's going to crash and that they're going to let it crash when we're coming into an election, you got another thought coming. There's no way that's going to happen. And this is all stuff that they're doing, combined with lower interest rates, which are coming and have come and will continue to come probably throughout the year. It's going to be a very interesting year. It's already starting, right? We're already getting anticipation of rate cuts. And a lot of this stuff is for investors. Get out ahead of the rate cuts, whether you're a regular buyer or an investor, especially if you're a first-time buyer. I'm telling all my clients, right now is the window. Between now and January is typically when we see the lowest prices, and it's a time to be shopping, in my opinion.
I think you covered that news really, really well. A little rapid fire of news there, eh?
Got to get it out. There's so much, right? Yeah. I want to be here all day.
Well, listen, we're back. We're a little bit raw here today, and a little bit unpolished. But you did a hell of a job. How you doing in fantasy?
I'm 4-1 in 2 of my leagues, so wow. pretty well. A lot of controversy in this trade that made a trade in our work league here, and a lot of controversy around it. Yeah. I thought it was a fair trade. They sent the trade to a neutral third party who said it was not sketchy.
Talks of collusion.
Talks of collusion. It's gotten a little bit out of control.
Talks of collusion. Week 4 and 5, the two teams that are doing not bad. I had CMC, and I am just trying to survive.
And you are surviving.
I am surviving.
Arguably even thriving.
I put up 140-something points
big week.
And lost last week. So it's Wednesday now. I'm over that.
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Right in the mix.
2 and 3. But that was a tough loss last week. Putting up that many points. Matt Pelletieri got me by I think maybe 5 to 10 points, and I had a player go down who was having a good game halfway through. And
now let me ask you this: are there any lineup decisions you could have made that would have won you the game? Because that's the worst. Okay.
No. You go on that bench and there's always that one person, but I had a few guys on a bye week, so I was doing pretty good there. I wouldn't have made any changes, and it just got hit by the injury bug there a little bit. But who hasn't? Am I right?
Well, no doubt. But you also, the worst is when you put up second most points and lose to the person with the first, which is what happened to you, right? So that sucks.
Yeah, it absolutely devastating.
Yeah, so we'll update the audience next week on this collusion. And
it's past. I think it's behind everybody now. Let's go Tigers today. Let's go Lions against Dallas this weekend. And let's go real estate. We're team real estate over here as well. And if you have any questions or you need any information, always here to serve. And happy and joyful today. Okay.